So, folks, there's a little thing within the U.S. government called the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and it's pretty important in terms of how economists gauge the health of the U.S. economy. One of the interesting things is that this has been a relatively nonpartisan bureau for a very, very long time. Presidents come and go, but different members of the bureau largely remain, or they leave to go to academia eventually. And, they all kind of support one another after they leave, regardless of what presidents they served under. The monthly job report came out, and it's actually really, really bad. So this is what came out, right? So you can see this goes back to July of 24. And you can see there have been ebbs and flows. And what's really interesting here is you get to May of this year. And you get to June. And then you get to July. Now, what's interesting here is this revised down. What does that mean? Well, it means that the numbers for the last 2 months assumed a certain amount of job growth that never actually materialized. So instead of adding over 100,000 jobs, 150,000 jobs or so, actually all that was added was like 12,000 jobs or 7,000 jobs. Like we're talking a tiny fraction of what they originally said was released, what they originally said in their release. And we're up 73,000 jobs in July. But what's really important to note about this data is that this is what allows economists to understand the health of the US economy. Because if suddenly people are just not adding jobs, that indicates something is incredibly wrong with the economy. Like the engine is slowing down and could potentially stop working. One other point is that if we couldn't trust the jobs numbers that came out over the last 2 months, why would we trust the job numbers from this month? And this has represented a relatively big problem because it seems like the Trump administration is trying to project better numbers than what actually exist. And it's not good. It's not good. Because we all know that corporations will try and fudge these numbers a bit here and there. But to fudge the numbers by 80% of the jobs, 90% of the jobs, that indicates that there's something profoundly wrong. I just want everyone to note that it's so bipartisan that there's actually a group titled the Friends of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And it consists of the American Statistical Association, Center for Regional Economic Competitiveness, Council for Professional Associations of Federal Statistics, and the National Association of Business Economics, and also former heads of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And they put out a statement on this. Because what ended up happening is that these numbers were so bad and so contrary to what Donald Trump had actually put out there that Donald Trump today, as soon as these numbers came out, immediately fired the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics because the numbers were bad and he didn't like them, which indicates that anyone who goes into that position from here on out is going to want to lie about the numbers on purpose. They're going to want to manipulate the data so they don't get fired. So here's the statement put out by the Friends of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Today, President Trump called into question the integrity of the employment situation report and that the BLS released this morning. He accused BLS Commissioner Erica McEntarfer, okay, I'll go with that, of deliberately reporting false numbers to reflect poorly on this administration. Yeah, that is, by the way, the allegation that she nefariously doctored the numbers in order to make him look bad. That's the allegation. For that, she lost her job. This baseless, damaging claim undermines the valuable work and dedication of the BLS staff who produce the reports each month. This escalates the president's unprecedented attacks on the independence and integrity of the federal statistical system. The president seeks to blame someone for unwelcome economic news. The commissioner does not determine what the numbers are, but simply reports what the data show. The process of obtaining the numbers is decentralized by design to avoid opportunities for interference. The BLS uses the same proven, transparent, reliable process to produce estimates every month. Every month, BLS revises the prior 2 months' employment estimates to reflect slower arriving, more accurate information. This rationale for firing Dr. McEntrefer is without merit and undermines the credibility of federal economic statistics that are a cornerstone of intelligent economic decision-making by businesses, families, and policymakers. U.S. Official statistics are the gold standard globally. When leaders of other nations have politicized economic data, it has destroyed public trust in all the official statistics.
If he fires enough people, he'll have to hire one of his mates, and they won't be able to count beyond 10.
I mean, even if he hires someone who does understand how this all works, they're highly motivated now to lie, right? To fudge the numbers somehow. But this is correct. Like, if we can no longer trust these types of numbers, then we officially have no idea what the inflation is. We officially have no idea what some of the other economic indicators are that would allow us to understand our current economic predicament. It's effectively blinding us when it comes to the economy. We're just going to have to, I guess, sense how things feel. You're going to have to get your data from economists that are like doing on the ground research every day. It is, people are posting in chat, this is going to end poorly. And like, that's 100% true. But part of what's going to make this end poorly is that we're flying blind. We like if we're in an airplane, the engines have stalled and we can't see where we're going, and we're going to have to just kind of sense when the plane is tilting too much to one side or the other and try and just glide until we get on the other side of this fog cloud. But we might crash before we get to the other end, right? So it's really, really bad. Fox Business thought it was going to be like 200,000, so they crashed and burned at 73K, which might itself be a lie. Exactly. As I mentioned last night, they're already lying about the consumer price index to lie about tariff-based inflation. Yeah, and that's kind of what is indicated in this data, right?
Don't worry, Jack. It's going to be like 2008 all over again. Only nobody will try to fix things and they will lie about there being a problem to begin with.
Oh, God. Nah, like it's going to be, guys, if we crash under these circumstances right now, it's going to be so much worse than 2008. It is going to be the worst economic downturn any of us have ever experienced. We're talking like missing the mark by like 80-90%. Like Fox News was hyping these numbers to be like 200,000 jobs being added. Because keep in mind, guys, what's happening here and what happened back in May. This is when Donald Trump started to do all of his tariff shit. And that chaos caused companies to not hire people and not create jobs and like play it safer, right? Which in turn reduces the economic activity, which in turn reduces GDP. In turn, like it throws off all of the numbers. The whole numbers projection that the GOP relied on to make their budget bill work was reliant on economic growth. And part of the problem that we're seeing here, Trump get caught in, is that economic growth is not happening. He is trying to tout these tariffs and tout these trade deals as things that are spurring economic growth, returning us to great manufacturing status among the world powers. And none of that is happening. None of the things he has promised are happening. And we're kind of getting to a point where even people who are true believers in this project are going, hey, wait a minute. We aren't seeing the growth that we should be seeing. Like even the people who are on his side are feeling they're panicked about this. It's really, really bad. BLS operates as a federal statistical agency and is afforded autonomy to ensure the data it releases is as accurate as possible. To politicize the work of the agency and its workers does a great disservice not only to BLS, but the entire federal statistical system, which this country has relied on for almost 150 years. We stand firmly behind the BLS, Commissioner McEntrefer, and the data they work hard to produce. Commissioner McIntyre is a widely respected economist who has devoted her career to public service. She has an impeccable record. Over 90% of U.S. senators supported her confirmation. We call on Congress to respond immediately to investigate the factors that led to Commissioner McIntyre's removal, to strongly urge the commissioner's continued service, and ensure that the nonpartisan integrity of the position is retained. The statement from the president undermines these tenets and politicizes data which cannot and should not be used for political points, right? So this is a pretty straightforward statement. This is like unambiguously bad. Now, let's take a look. What does Donald Trump say? When he defends his decision to fire this the commissioner, what does he say?
Why did you fire the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics?
Because I think her numbers were wrong. Just like I thought her numbers were wrong before the election. Days before the election, she came out with these beautiful numbers for Kamala.
Fun story. In 1929, Herbert Hoover decided to respond to Black Monday by aggressively deporting Mexicans. He declared that American jobs are for Americans. Nothing new under the sun.
Paladin, thank you for the $10 dono. I very much appreciate the support. And yeah, except in this case, he started with deporting people, and now he has nowhere to turn with the rest of this. You know, like there's no lever for him to push at this point. Also, he's trying to claim that the commissioner fudged numbers in favor of Kamala Harris, who wasn't the president at the time. Like a candidate for president who's not the president doesn't have labor statistics they need to worry about.
I guess Biden/Kamala, and she came out with these beautiful numbers trying to get somebody else elected. Then right after the election, I think on the 15th, November 15th, she...
Yeah, it couldn't possibly, because the economy was actually doing okay, at least on paper.
Had an $800,000 or $900,000 massive reduction. Said she made a mistake. That woman's numbers are...
I love that he has no evidence whatsoever. He's just like, I disagree with her numbers, and I'm not an economist, I have no statistician that like agrees with me. I've got nothing, but I just feel like the numbers are wrong. That's his fundamental premise here. God, we are in we're in the shit right now, folks. Here he is again.
Going forward, why should anyone trust the numbers?
Well, that's the big thing. You're right. No, you're right. Why should anybody trust numbers? You go back to election day. Look what happened 2 or 3 days before with massive, wonderful job numbers, trying to get him elected or her elected, trying to get whoever the hell was running.
The reporter asks him a question about why would anyone trust the numbers that your Bureau of Labor Statistics puts out after you fired the commissioner of the Bureau for putting out numbers you don't like, that paint you in a bad light. Like, this is and he doesn't even understand the question. He doesn't even understand what is being asked. He's like, why should anyone believe the numbers? Exactly. Thank you for agreeing with me. I'm so glad we all think that these numbers are fishy. We're all in the same boat here. Like, he doesn't even get it. He doesn't even understand the question. Dude's mind is like gone. And I mean, like, he's losing it, bro. Here's one of his posts on Truth Social. I was just informed that our country's job numbers are being produced by a Biden appointee, Dr. Erica McIntyre, the Commissioner of Labor Statistics, who faked the job numbers before the election to try and boost Kamala's chances of victory. This is the same Bureau of Labor Statistics that overstated the job growth in March 2024 by approximately 818,000, and then again right before the 2024 presidential election in August and September by 112,000. These were records. No one can be that wrong. We need accurate jobs numbers. I have directed my team to fire the Biden political appointee immediately. She will be replaced with someone much more competent and qualified. Important numbers like this must be fair and accurate. They can't be manipulated for political purposes. McIntyre said there were only 73,000 jobs added. A shock. But more importantly, that a major mistake was made by them. 258,000 jobs downward in the prior 2 months. Similar things happened in the first part of the year, always in the negative. The economy is booming under Trump. Despite a Fed that also plays games, this time with interest rates, where they are lowered them twice and substantially just before the presidential election, I assume in hopes of getting Kamala elected. How did that work out? Jerome Too Late Powell should also be put out to pasture. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And, like, I gotta be honest with you guys, that sounds like he wants to kill Jerome Powell. When you refer to someone being put out to pasture, you're talking about killing them. Just as an FYI. That's like saying taken out behind the shed. So, dude's losing it. Dude's absolutely losing it. Because just a couple minutes later, he also put this out. In my opinion, today's jobs were rigged in order to make the Republicans and me look bad. Just like when they had 3 great days around the 2024 presidential election, and then those numbers were taken away on November 15th, 2024, right after the election, when the jobs numbers were massively revised downward, making a correction of over 818,000 jobs, a total scam. Jerome Too Late Powell is no better. But the good news is our country is doing great. And it's just like, I don't get the impression that our country is doing great, actually. I get the opposite impression from these goddamn desperate posts. Did I see the clip of Scott Bessent trying to slip that they're actively trying to privatize Social Security? You don't need to find the clip. We have too much of a show. But it does not surprise me in the least. Even Hitler's like, yo, take a break. Oh, God. We have to laugh. And I do want to emphasize here, this is not a partisan issue, right? The firing of the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics is a bipartisan concern. So much so that you're seeing economists right now freak the fuck out. Like it's kind of nuts. I want to show you guys this, right? So first we have William Beach, who writes, the totally groundless firing of Dr. Erica McIntyre, my successor as Commissioner of Labor Statistics at BLS, sets a dangerous precedent and undermines the statistical mission of the Bureau. For a full statement opposing this move, read, and then he links to the same statement we read earlier. And this is retweeted by Douglas Holtz Eakin. Bill is the king of understatement. There have been countless BLS revisions and many BLS commissioners, but only one sitting president has fired a BLS head. You do the math. And I gotta tell you guys, they're the ones who do the math. These are the guys who do the goddamn math. Okay? They know what they're talking about. They know that this is like, you press the big red button. This is an emergency situation. Okay? And if you're wondering, well, okay, maybe those guys are like super libs, right? You know, maybe they're super liberal. Guess what? That first guy, William Beach, he was the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics under Donald Trump and Joe Biden. He was the one who was in charge of those numbers during Trump 1. So he knows what he's talking about. He was confirmed under Trump 1 by Trump's Senate. And also, would you know it, look at this. He's also a fellow in economics at the Heritage Foundation. This guy is an economist for the same organization that made Project 2025. And even he is going, whoa, guys, whoa, this is bad. Whoa, you need to put her back. Put her back. This is really fucking bad. What about that other guy? Maybe he's like a super lib, you know? This Douglas Holtz-Eakin. I mean, obviously, he must be like a socialist, right? Oh, wait, no, he's the director of the Congressional Budget Office. And also was the economic policy advisor to John McCain on his presidential campaign. And also is currently the president of the American Action Forum, a conservative advocacy group. This guy is also ultra conservative. And these people are pressing the big emergency button. Okay, these guys are the ones who would typically be in Trump's corner on this. Because understand, if like they lose access to this data, it's basically a torpedo that destroys their ability to analyze economics in the United States. These statistics put out by the Bureau of Labor Statistics are what allow them to do what they do. And, just beside the point here, but those numbers are important. And I'm going to bring us back to this graph. These numbers are important because they indicate in maybe the last graph we're going to accurately have what Donald Trump is actually doing to the economy. This is what Donald Trump is actually doing, taking an economy that has been making modest gains and suddenly tanking it with this tariff nonsense. Which I need to remind all of you is simply a tax placed on everyone in the United States unilaterally by the president, and it is only supposed to be that Congress is able to impose tariffs. But because Congress has abdicated their responsibility at the behest of Republicans in Congress, Trump has been given an emergency authority to set tariffs, which means he has unilateral authority to tax you. That is what is happening. And as he touts how much tariff revenue he's gotten from you guys, the businesses of this country are going down the shitter. And manufacturing, importantly, the thing that Donald Trump ran on bringing back to America, the entire premise he tried to spin as the undergirding principle of the tariffs that he's imposing. Remember, he wanted to bring manufacturing back to America. Those manufacturing jobs aren't coming back here, guys.
Don't worry, Jack. It's only multi-generational and nearly irreparable damage to the country. No big sarcasm.
True, Lady Raincloud. Thank you for the $5 dono. But also, those jobs aren't coming back. And the GOP put this out earlier today, I believe. The one big beautiful bill will drive the return of the great American car. And if any of you know anything about cars, you'll recognize that the car behind Donald Trump in this meme is not in fact an American car. It's a Soviet clunker. Yes, you guys are accurately calling it out. That is the Skoda. It's not even an American car in their stupid ass meme that is pretending to be bringing back manufacturing jobs. We're in the bad place. We're in the bad place. The absolute worst car ever. Yeah. Not a Skoda. Wait, what is it? Is it a Lada? Oh, yep, you guys are correct. It's a Lada. I thought it was a Skoda. It's a Lada. More like a lot of bullshit. Hey, nailed it. Nailed it. Nailed the landing. Let's go. All right, nailed it.
Riverboat Jack is going to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and Swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, and plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.